Bentornati, welcome back to my bilingual show, Itali-Echo, WNTN Radio Boston, 1550 AM. This is your host, Viviana Dragani, and today I host an author, Nick Baeta. He's a Canadian author who found therapy in writing during a medical leave, and while off work and isolated, he began writing what would eventually become the Atlantian Chronicles, Fight for Survival. So, Nick, tell us what is your writing process and character creation process?
So my writing process is a little different than some people. I know a lot of writers want to write every day or put something down every day, but I kind of have more of a binge mentality where I find the best work I get or the best I get out of my work is when I write when I feel like it. So I will some days just like binge writing for 8 hours a day and put in 8 hours worth of writing and write 20,000 words, and then I won't touch it for a week or two or even longer. Um, because I find when I'm forced to write or when I force myself to write, it doesn't bring up my best side. So my process is writing when I feel inspired or writing when something really triggers me to write and then putting it down or setting it aside till I'm ready to come back to it. And then I do everything chronologically, just in case I have a great idea, but a better idea forms in the process.
Thank you, Nick. And tell us the story of how you came to create what would be the Atlantian Chronicles.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a longer story, but I was off work on medical leave, and in the process, I found myself alone at night often from like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And there was no one to talk to and there was nothing really to do. And I found myself getting very lonely at that time. So I kind of turned to writing as a therapy. And in doing so, I kind of just started writing little bits and pieces and I would restart it and stop and start again. And eventually I kind of came across a video one day that broke down Plato's theory on a theory, a conspiracy theory on Plato's interpretation of Atlantis and how it matched the Eye of the Sahara, which eventually became the starting kind of process for my writing the Atlantean Chronicles. It was kind of the spark that lit the fuse that eventually became the Atlantean Chronicles.
How did you take inspiration from other authors and filmmakers?
Yeah, so I love TV shows, movies, and books, especially when you can kind of escape into them. Huge inspirations from Lee Child and how he kind of develops a mystery in his characters and how his characters are regular people who are great at what they do. And I took kind of advice and different things from Jack Carr, who really created one of my most favorite book series, the Terminal List series. And actually, I mentioned it in the book at one point. The main character, likes it as well. And then just different TV shows and movies like Mission Impossible and kind of the great action sequences, followed by the character development, followed by another great action sequence that keeps you wanting to turn to the next page. All of those authors, along with J.K. Rowling, creating an amazing world that is both possible because it still takes place in our present world, but it has this magical capabilities that if you're not involved in the world, you don't know about. Different things like that, along with Rick Riordan and other authors that were just able to blend kind of whole world that is our modern world with these magical and mystical worlds. And that's kind of what inspired me and how I took these different styles and kind of mashed them together to make something that worked for me.
Awesome. And what is the main message you would like the listening audience to know about your book?
I'd like the listening audience to just know that it's a story of coming into your own and finding your purpose in a world that you didn't know about and becoming something and developing something that's worth fighting for and standing up for and just really finding that purpose.
Right. And what messages do you have for aspiring authors and others who are just starting out in this world of writing?
Yeah, great question. I would say my best piece of advice would be to become comfortable with being vulnerable. Putting any sort of art doesn't have to be just be writing, but putting any sort of art out into the world is a vulnerable thing because you've worked so hard and you're so passionate about this, and as you put it out there, you run the risk of people not liking it, and there will be people who don't like it. And take their criticisms, but write it and be uncomfortable putting that out there because it's a very vulnerable thing and it can be uncomfortable. So I would say that, and then the other piece of advice I would give is um, write it for you. Don't write it to be the next famous author or the next famous rich and famous person. Write it because you want to tell a story and you have a story to tell. And I think everyone does have a story to tell. So write it for you. And if you're proud of it and you're happy with it and it's something that means a lot to you, when you put it out there, people will gravitate towards it. People will connect with it. And that's where your success will come from.
That's great advice. Thank you. And how are you able to work in real life events and create pseudo historical events in your writing?
Yeah, so I really try and make sure that I research all the different parts of historical events, and I try and mix them in. And I kind of try and use bits and pieces, but I try and also uh, looking at it from one point of view, and then I try and reverse that point of view and see how it would be on the other side. So with like the idea of Atlantis, for example. The idea is like it's a lost city, but what if it was lost not because of like a flood or the gods being mad at it, like how ancient Greek history tells it and ancient history tells it, but maybe it's because they did something wrong or something. So I try and balance real life events and really research them and really kind of take different viewpoints to make sure that I have it as historically pseudo history as historically accurate as I can be. So like researching who would be at these tables. So if you're researching the Knights Templar, then who would be involved in that at that time period to make sure that it is as realistic as possible while still possibly changing how characters interacted and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And last question for you, where the series will continue to go following the first book?
Yeah, so following the first book, at towards the end, and it's a bit of a spoiler alert, but following the end of the first book, our heroes and the rest of their group and what's left of it has kind of found a new group, and going from there, it's going to be trying to stop this now public war that is going on between the people of Atlantis and this mystery group called Unity. And going forward, it's going to go across the globe. I'm going to try and incorporate more historical events and more great historical intricacies. I'm also going to try and make the story of how Plato and Unity were created mixed into it as well. So I'm gonna flesh out more backgrounds with other characters and favorite fan favorites. I'm gonna flesh out the stories of how different historical events actually changed, and also try and just really bring the whole world together more.
Terrific. So where can we find your book?
Yeah, my book is available at miltonandhugo.com. It is also available at Barnes and Noble. If you're in Canada, Indigo, and it is also available on Amazon, along with several international retailers like Blackwell's and Waterstones, as well as some internationally in across Europe. But easiest way to do it is to go to nickbetabooks.com, and you can find all the links there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. Nick Baeta, thanks.
No problem. Thank you.